Nothing to hide, and I'm gonna break it straight down the pipe for you, face to face.
Being tough gets you hurt. This is a sharp game, a skill game, a chess game, and I think people see that.
You lost that fight, walking out of the ring. What were your memories? What did you think?
Boxing's a lot tougher than I expected.
You don't know my ability though.
That's true. That's true.
You don't.
I don't know where you might go. I just give you where I think you're at, which I'm entitled to, which is average. Average is very complimentary.
The Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua face-to-face interview offers an intense glimpse into two very different fighters. Jake Paul, the YouTube sensation turned boxer, approaches Joshua with confidence and boldness, eager to assert himself. In contrast, former heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua stays composed, analyzing Paul with the precision of a seasoned professional. Paul openly admits Joshua's size, skill, and championship mentality make him a formidable opponent. Despite the respect he shows, Paul is determined, acknowledging this could be his toughest fight yet, and is fully prepared to prove his worth in the ring.
This relentless style, this forward pressure, taking lots of damage, not giving a fuck, and returning that damage more than what his opponents are giving him. And that...
With the fight officially set for December 19th, anticipation has reached unprecedented levels. Jake Paul stressed that this isn't just another celebrity bout. It's a genuine test against a former unified heavyweight champion. He acknowledged the immense risk of facing Anthony Joshua, but insisted that achieving greatness demands bold decisions. Joshua, meanwhile, remained calm and confident, commending Paul's business sense and relentless work ethic, yet emphasizing that experience in the ring is crucial. He made it clear that when a fight begins, respect vanishes and instincts take control. Both fighters agreed this clash could redefine their careers. Either Jake stuns the world, or Joshua reasserts his supremacy.
I like the challenge. People, that's the criticism. Fight someone in their prime who's a beast. I think people just want to see me lose. That's really what the message is behind it all. And Anthony Joshua is an insane fight, but I want that challenge. We've been DMing back and forth. He wants to make it happen. He called me up, and it's looking very likely for next year.
I want to fight Anthony Joshua exclusive because I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua. I know I will beat. Knocked out, right? Yeah. He doesn't have a chin and he has no skill and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends. But I want to fight you.
Former UFC champion Michael Bisping shared his perspective on the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight, describing it as a win-win scenario for Paul. Bisping argued that even if Paul loses, he would earn significant respect simply for having the courage to face a former heavyweight world champion. Taking on Joshua demonstrates that Paul isn't just dabbling in celebrity boxing. He's willing to take genuine risks, stepping into the ring with a proven champion. And if Paul were to pull off a shocking victory, it would catapult him into a whole new level of legitimacy within the sport, validating his place in professional boxing. According to Bisping, this is precisely the kind of high-stakes, calculated risk that deserves recognition. However, the matchup carries considerable risk for Joshua as well. A win could be criticized as an easy, low-risk payday against a social media star instead of competing against elite-level opponents. A loss, conversely, would severely damage his legacy. Being defeated by an influencer-turned-boxer could harm his reputation, raise doubts among fans, and force questions about his future in the sport, making this fight a high-risk, high-reward scenario for both men.
The reason I say it's a win-win for Jake Paul is because, listen, if he wins, then he's beating a former heavyweight boxing world champion, certainly one of the best heavyweights of his generation, and of course, a man that is way bigger than Jake Paul. Of course, it's a win. And if he loses, it's still a win for Jake Paul because he had the balls, he was man enough, he was willing to test himself, he would prove everyone wrong, all his critics, like me. And by the way, I'm not like out there on an island by myself, everyone says the same thing, and he would potentially prove all of those critics wrong. Well, yeah, he would, maybe, unless there's some funny business, right? And for Anthony Joshua, as I said, this is kind of a lose-lose, right? Because if he wins, people are still going to say, well, you only beat Jake Paul, right? The man that lost to Tommy Fury, after all, right? That's the only loss in his record, Tommy Fury. You're telling me that Tommy Fury's going to beat him, and then Anthony Joshua's not going to beat him? So if he beats him, he gets no credit. And if he loses, then holy can you imagine? That would be the biggest downfall of any boxer's career. The reality is, he's not going to lose. There is no way on this earth that Jake Paul can beat Anthony Joshua in a boxing match. That's just a fact, okay? Look at what he did to Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou hits as hard as a Ford Escort, going 100 miles an hour or whatever that stat was. Comes from the UFC. He was the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. Has a good go against Tyson Fury, but goes up against Anthony Joshua and gets flatlined. Every single punch that was thrown was landed, and every punch that landed put Francis Ngannou down, okay? So to stand there and think that Jake Paul, who's much, much smaller, who has way less experience, that doesn't weigh anything near him, is going to have a chance, and not to...
The fight seems more like a business decision than a legacy-defining moment for Joshua. A major factor is the weight difference. Jake Paul reportedly weighed nearly 200 pounds in his bout against Mike Tyson, while Anthony Joshua typically competes in the heavyweight range of 252 to 255 pounds, giving him a significant size advantage in the ring.
Was going to be. I legit think it was probably close to happening. Now you're telling me there were discussions and potentially, signed to fight Gervonta Tank Davis. And again, I do believe the reason for that is Jake's massive size advantage. Again, that's like a 100-pound weight advantage. How would that even work? Like, how do you even... Never mind. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because it's not official and I don't think it's happening, so let's just not even broach that subject. But let's talk about the Anthony Joshua fight. And I want to hear the clip again because I just can't believe what I'm hearing. Let's play it again.
I know my boundaries. I want to fight Anthony Joshua exclusive because I know that I will fucking beat Anthony Joshua's ass. I know I will
just got
beat...
knocked out, right?
Yeah. He doesn't have a chin and he has no skill and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends, all this shit, but I want to fight you.
So Jake says he wants to fight Anthony Joshua. He says he's going to beat Anthony Joshua's ass, that he doesn't have a chin, that he has no skill, and that he's stiff. And then you hear Derek again with the porn creeper stash chime in. Didn't he just get knocked out? Yeah, by Daniel Dubois, who is a reigning heavyweight champion of the world. Not that that means anything at all, I don't guess. Yeah, Jake's just flat out wrong here with a lot of his critiques of Anthony Joshua in comparison to himself. Like, if you want to say for the elite heavyweights in the world that Anthony Joshua has a little bit less skill and is more stiff than they are, then okay, but Anthony Joshua is still an elite heavyweight in the world. And then to go as far as to say, I will beat Anthony Joshua's ass, that he doesn't have a chin, no skill, he's stiff. Like, again, Jake can have this opinion. And he says it, that we're friends and I love you, but I want to fight you. And Jake may even believe that, but he's just wrong. Like, Anthony Joshua took heavy shots against Daniel Dubois before he was knocked out, and really, the reason he was knocked out is because he got in a firefight and threw an uppercut as a lead because Ben Davidson was...
Joshua has faced some of boxing's biggest names and possesses far more experience than Jake Paul. Joe Rogan has highlighted this, noting Joshua's battles against elite fighters, while Paul remains relatively new to the sport, making the matchup a clear test of experience versus hype.
Into his own, man. That's what that is. He's only like 27. That guy's fucking scary. He's dangerous. Going into that fight, it seems like he believed that he was just gonna dominate. He was so aggressive. He was just in the pocket constantly, just forcing Joshua to go to war. It was wild.
Everybody was like, look, to Joshua, I think you're done.
Right after he knocks out Francis Ngannou, and it's like, everyone's like, you're back.
Yeah.
Flattened Francis Ngannou, and everyone's like, oh, Joshua's...
Dana White has been largely dismissive of Jake Paul, admitting he stopped following him after Paul lost to a legitimate boxer. White has little respect for Paul's fights, labeling earlier bouts as pay-per-view spectacles rather than serious contests. He also laughed off legal threats from Paul's team over claims of fixed fights, suggesting that while the bouts may not be rigged, they often lack legitimacy in the eyes of professional boxing.
The fight that's reportedly being worked on for December 19th in Miami.
Did I see the fight being worked on December 19th in Miami?
Yeah.
No.
Do you know which fight I'm talking about?
No.
Fair enough.
Oh, Jesus. That's a fucking bad idea. That's a bad idea. But let me tell you what. A lot of people watch that one.
Will you watch it?
Sure. You know what everybody's tuning in for on that one. Yeah, I think everybody's going to...
Tommy Fury completely dismissed the notion of Jake Paul facing Anthony Joshua, calling Paul's ambitions laughable. He reminded fans that he defeated Paul despite suffering a serious hand injury, using that victory to cast doubt on Paul's skill and credibility. Fury questioned whether Paul deserved such a high-profile fight, suggesting Joshua would gain little from it. He even speculated that Joshua might be compensated if the bout drags on, expressing doubt that Paul could genuinely challenge a heavyweight of Joshua's elite caliber.
Beat Jake Paul. And excuse my French, what the fuck is Anthony Joshua going to do to Jake Paul? I think my dad said that AJ could beat him with his prick, and I completely will back that up. Even if AJ had a broken arm in there, it still wouldn't go past a minute. To be quite honest with you, and as a safety aspect, there's no way that fight can go ahead. At the end of the day, my God, how good does it make me look? He gets beat by Jake Paul. Well, that automatically makes me two-time heavyweight champion of the world, doesn't it? There's no proper way. I've got to laugh about it. How are we even talking about this? He got his nut boxed off by me a little over 2 years ago. And now all of a sudden, he's talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. It's like, come on. Like, you can't be serious. He can't beat me. I'm not Anthony Joshua, am I? So...
In contrast, Tyson Fury made a bold prediction about a potential Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight, confidently claiming that Paul would knock out Joshua. Fury stated, "Jake Paul chins AJ 100%. I back him, showing full belief in Paul's striking power."